Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Mink Life Motivation Live. This week we are talking about It's Time to Thrive. My name is Monica Henderson, and I am your conductor on this particular trip. And to help me craft the conversation about thriving, we have the resident Thrive strategist of well-being and worth, Andrea Gwertz. She is also a Mink Life Motivation Master Trainer and the Dean of Mink Life University. Hey, girl, hey.
Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody.
So excited because this is your topic for
I know.
today.
I was like, woo.
And then also help us craft this conversation, our co-host Peggy MacArthur, who is the owner and photographer of Headshots by Peggy. She is a headshot strategist and a Mink Life Motivation Master Trainer. Trainer of the brand builder. Maybe one day she'll be a master trainer. Maybe that's a Freudian slip there. And last but not least, we have you. You are the co-host off the couch. So feel free to chime in. That's right. And let us know what you are thinking. Hit hashtag replay if you're watching this as a replay. We're trying some new things with the looks here today. So hopefully you'll enjoy this experience with us. Shall we kind of, check in? How are you guys doing this week?
Really good. I missed you last week.
Oh, I missed you guys too.
Good,
Struggle.
good. I'm recovered, so I'm excited. So, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It has been
And it's
January.
February.
January was one of those months. It was one of those months that were like, we're going to come in ferocious instead of like a lamb. So I'm hoping that was kind of the Kickstarter of like, if you're not ready to level up in all the ways, we're about to get you ready to level up in all the ways. Because for me, I was living a lot of life, like actual, as Andrea says, in real life.
Yeah,
The real life was a lot. Yeah, I know.
I think
January was
2022 is just like right here in your face.
Mhm.
Like, let's do this. Let's do it now.
Yeah, in some ways, I felt like 2020 and 2021 were like years where there was things happening exteriorly to my life, right? So it was like the outside world was happening in like there were things happening, and this year has been the year where it's like it's now closer to home and internal. And so I feel like maybe 2020 and 2021 were practice for this very time in my life. So, but I'm excited to be here and back and hanging out with y'all so that we can actually do our thing. And of course, as usual, we want to really kind of lean into our new existence, I guess, if you will. And let's dive into getting motivated, right? That's the whole point of the show, is to help you get motivated. And the first question for our Get Motivated section is, dun, 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 why is thriving your birthright? And I'm going to let Andrea actually go last on this one, since this is her topic, and she's the ringer for this particular topic. And I'm going to let Peggy go first this time. So why is thriving your birthright?
I'm going to assume that you put me first, not because I was going to be the weakest link.
No,
the
not
way
at all.
I like Andrea is going to be the ringer. No. All right. So I think that is absolutely what we need to focus on, is that we have the right to thrive. And sometimes we feel like we're not good enough, or maybe we don't deserve it. But why don't you deserve it? You have a belly button. You were born into this earth. That is your birthright. You were literally born on this earth. You were born here to thrive and succeed. And we all define thrive in different ways, but the way you define it, you have the right to live it. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Andrea, would you like to kind of chime in on that?
Yeah, of course, because I talk about thriving in all of its aspects all the time. So when I saw the topic today, I was like, oh, wow, am I prepared? And so what Peggy said, I wholeheartedly agree. We're born on this planet to do just that, to thrive, to live life really fully. Birthright, moral right. It's sort of the one thing that is kind of expected of you is to thrive. The converse is not. I mean, you hear about failure to thrive, and it's a really sad term often applied to children or plants or pets. And and you go, failure to thrive. It doesn't even sound right, right? Because it's like something failed to live or succeed. And so, when people go, why is thriving a birthright? You were born, I love Peggy, with a belly button. So therefore you exist. And therefore you have this almost preordained destiny like, depending on your frame of reference in religion, expectation to, show up in all of your glory and, contribute somehow. So thriving is something that definitely, if it escapes you to believe that that's capable, then that's something I hope you reach out and help someone bolster that belief. Because, you are innately, our bodies are innately wired to do just that, which is, we're supposed to live, and we work really hard to do that unless
Yeah.
we put obstacles in the way. So clinging to that as your birthright, as your first and maybe one physical responsibility, is essential to making everything else in your life work.
Yeah, the none of us as children thought when we were going to get older, we were going to be stressed out adults, right? Like no one was like, when I get older, I'm going to like really lean into the stress of it all and I'm going to have a coffee addiction and I'm gonna get no sleep and my kids are gonna drive me crazy and I'm not gonna have a great relationship and I'm gonna hate my job when I get older. And that's what I'm working towards. Yes. Like no one thinks about their adulthood as that. And yet a lot of us have found ourselves in that space where everything about life is just hard, right? Just extra hard. And one of the reasons why I actually asked this question is because it's to imply that, wait a minute, it is my birthright to actually thrive. It's not my birthright to have to survive, right?
Mhm.
And I think we kind of are surviving our childhoods and surviving our early adulthood and surviving those childbearing years and surviving being an elderly person. And the true purpose for us being here is to be able to actually thrive. I don't think we were created to just survive, because we wouldn't have had such a great understanding of our being, our amness, right? Like the actual
Mhm.
existence. We're like the only that we know of. We're the only animals on this planet that can actually contemplate our existence,
Mhm.
which means inherently we were meant to thrive. At least that's how I see it. Otherwise, we would just be on, that, what is it called? The part of your brain that only focuses on survival, right? Like that,
Amygdala. Your
the
amygdala.
amygdala, right? It's like otherwise we would only live in that space. We wouldn't have the
Mhm.
capability to enjoy music and art and poetry and love and giving back and taking care of others and all of those things. Those things wouldn't also be important to us. So I think when we're looking at ourselves in our lives, we should really be thinking about like what does it look like not to survive but to actually thrive, as yourself. And so that's why I asked this question. It was a little bit of a ringer question, but I think it kicks off the topic really, really well, because it's just time. It's time for us to thrive, like the topic of the day. So as we are kind of diving into this conversation, and today's going to go probably a little quick because it's the three of us, and this is one of our favorite topics. But as we are trying to stay inspired, and we have a comment from the community, so we'll like share that really quick. Um, tell people to tell that to people who have survived all sorts of stuff and never feeling or knowing what thriving looks like at all. If we all knew that it was our birthright, I think more people would be able to create that in their lives. I think you're absolutely right, Raquel. Thank you for chiming in on that. That is inspiring, a statement alone. And so keep chiming in as one of our co-hosts on the couch. We love it. So, one of our next question, as we stay inspired, is how is having an attitude of gratitude in the face of adversity help you thrive? This is a selfish question. I'm gonna be really honest with you because, like I said, this month is January was a month that was like a lot of life. I lived a lot of life. All the things that were outside of my control were also like facing me in my face, from coronavirus to sick family members to taking on extra responsibilities as a part of my new existence. And so this question is actually just so that I can remind my own self. And I'm living out loud and vicariously through this show right now. Andrea, why is having the attitude of gratitude in the face of adversity help you thrive? Why does that help you thrive?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is, what are the options? Are you going to have an attitude of despair and despondency? If you do, thriving is, below the bar. It's not even accessible, sort of to what Raquel said in the comment, is that if there isn't the ability to channel the learnings from an experience in a light that shows you something that you could do better or strive towards, I think it's hard to claim thriving as your birthright, to her point. And I think it's also difficult to even make the expectation of thriving. And so, in the question, having gratitude, I often, when I work with my clients um, and they're faced with something that's been traumatic, and I think I always take them off guard when I say, "So, what, if anything, did you learn from the experience?" And they're like, "Learn?" And I go, "Yeah, what did you learn?" And it's all to bring it around to the fact that they did actually learn something, and they actually succeeded in creating something despite the adversity or the challenges. And so and then I say, well, welcome to gratitude. Welcome to the gratitude of knowing that you had the strength, the intelligence, the know all, the prowess to actually transcend the situation and elevate to a new place. And so there is gratitude in just knowing that you had that ability. And so I like to say, since January was that kind of month for probably all three of us sitting here on the virtual couch, is that gratitude undoubtedly kept my head in the game when, we're all sick and it's scary being as sick as we were, right? Or reaching out to people who are equally sick and saying, keep your head in the positive game, right? Like, keep your head and your thoughts so your body will follow along. The amygdala can get hijacked and keep your body sick. And so gratitude is something that frontal cortex gets to do and keeps keeps you going, right? And so, um, oh, hi, Rosanna. We just got a comment from somebody that I really enjoy. And so, yeah, gratitude and thank you for loving what we're talking about, because as I said last week in one of my Wellness Wednesdays, I was like, you have to look for the gifts that life gives you and the opportunities where you get to change to be better somehow. And so I know we're in a time of intense stress, and I am now beginning to call it trauma because it's affecting us all so deeply. And the only thing that helps us transcend trauma is to have a sense of gratitude for the fact that you woke up this morning,
Mhm.
your family's here on this planet. Uh, I get to talk and blab with my two girls here on Wednesdays about things that really mean something to me, and share it with people who are throwing it back that, you know what, it means something to us too. So people, we need to embrace that we, like Monica said earlier, we get to think, paint, draw, create. And the gratitude in just that we're not stuck in the amygdala stuck position is a gift. It's awesome. So thank you, Monica. I know I went off the rails on that one. really on my mind. So when I saw the questions, I was like, how am I going to rein it in? I'm like, I'm not going to rein it in.
No, no. It is traumatic, right? What we've all been through, and it is traumatic not to be able to connect to family and people that you love, and that's so true. I mean, my daughter was battling COVID, and I dealt with her for 10 days via Zoom and dropping food at her door like she was like in the hole, right? And that was so sad, and my husband is still technically in quarantine right now because we're all healthy and he's not. And I'm like passing by the door, like, I miss you. But we're in the same house. And so, yeah, not being able to connect with people. And if anybody has had to deal with this Omicron variant, which apparently is basically everybody I know at this point in life is either coming out of it or has had it. Knock on wood for Peggy.
Except, yeah.
Knock on wood for Peggy.
Peggy's bubble is intense, though, guys.
I keep a pretty intense bubble.
Yeah. But that this ongoing, like you were saying, this ongoing coronavirus pandemic fatigue is definitely traumatic. So I'm glad you're like just throwing it out there and putting it out there that this is trauma, and there is some healing that will need to happen through this. But you're right, that attitude of gratitude is going to be what keeps us afloat for sure.
And able to even say, I am traumatized by all of this, right? Like, there's no accounting for our emotional state through this. No one has sat down and said, we get that this is emotionally taxing. Instead, we've talked about all the at things. We haven't talked about the heart things,
Yeah.
and the heart things about not connecting with your friends and family. And
Hmm.
people instead make that, I want to be able to go out and not wear a mask. Well, I think most people would like to go out. Yes, of course, without the damn mask. Nobody wants to wear those things. They're not
Right.
comfortable. The kids don't like them. No one's saying they're a fun thing, right? And now
Right.
Omicron's even testing that. Like, you're like pulling your hair out. Like, what else do I need to do to be safe? And
Yeah.
God knows your amygdala gets hijacked because you don't feel safe, right? And
Yeah.
so, but then the attitude of gratitude is like, I have Zoom. At least I can talk to you.
Yeah.
Or the attitude of gratitude is, let's meet at a park and sit at a bench. And we don't have to have our mask on. Like, that is one way to overcome the obstacle and bring in that joy and the things that we really miss right now. So,
Yeah. Peggy.
And I think we've been fortunate. We've stayed healthy in our household, but we've had 7 people that are close to us die from COVID. So, it's not just if you've battled the sickness. This is traumatic for all of us. Everyone in the whole world is traumatized, and so I like what I'm sorry I forgot her name, but talking about survival, um, you know, I- I've been in a point of survival for many years in my life, and that was a conversation that I had with my husband not that long ago. I was like, sometimes I forget that I'm not just surviving. I forget to enjoy the life that I don't have to, like, your body gets in that survival mode, and it just doesn't even take the time to look around. And when we take the time to look around and think, "Oh my gosh, look at what I'm grateful for. Look at all these amazing things." I work with actors a lot, and just that other week, somebody was in and they were like, I only had 10 auditions all year last year. And I go, you had 10 auditions last year? Because, and just changing that, that slight little way of thinking of it, 5,000 to 6,000 people, submit to a job. 50 people get an audition. That's huge. 10 auditions in 1 year. Woohoo. And, the look on her face was like that shift. And she's like, I never thought of that. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome. And, what is it in our life that we think, oh man, a lot of us watching this are entrepreneurs. Oh man, we only had 5 customers last month. You had 5 customers last month. It's just really thinking about. hey, that's better than it was before. And
Or
I got
zero.
to meet people. I got to see people. I got to tell people about my product or my service that never heard about it. They haven't gave me money yet, but that's okay because they now know about it and they didn't know about it before. And just taking that moment to shift your mindset, it makes you feel better. And then instead of presenting yourself in this desperate blah, nobody wants to be around you, all of a sudden they're like, what's going on over there? That looks exciting.
Yeah.
Is anybody paying me? No, but it looks exciting. Let's go see. I want to be a part of that. And then eventually the money and everything else will line up and fall into place. So it's just that shift instead of the to the
I love that, Peggy.
that's that's hilarious. So, I've had to recant. There's people, when people ask you how are you doing, I have been, for the last couple of years, I've been making it a point to not say I'm fine, right? As a person who is typically the strong person, right? I'm the strong person. If I am not fine, I don't say I'm fine. I'm saying I have given myself some new phrases to give, like, I'm living a lot of life, which is what I've been saying to people recently. Because,
because
from
you have been
I've
living a
been
lot of
living a
life.
lot of life, right? Or I'll say, I'm living with an undercurrent of joy, because in the truth of it, I am really grateful that the things that I am dealing with, that I have the bandwidth, technically, the bandwidth and the financial resources and the home and all of the things that I need to actually do the things that I'm doing. And so, really kind of focusing in on the undercurrent of joy part and saying, the waves on the top are really rocky right now. I mean, full like tsunami waves are happening in my life. But when I think about, well, the stability of, even though we're going through, the COVID running through the family, right? My husband and I still have each other to kind of commiserate with this about. I have my entire Mink Life Motivation tribe in the Mingle community who have been in full support of me through this process. I've been able to say out loud to people, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now, and for them to be able to give me words of encouragement and things to do to pamper myself and all of those things. And my daughter, I was able to talk to her through Zoom, with, like Andrea was saying, like the capability of still being able to use the technology to be able to do a silly cooking show for her to keep her spirits up in the kitchen with bad accents and the whole thing, right? So that we could keep her spirits up. There are so many challenges, yes, but there is the ability to have this undercurrent of joy that's flowing through my life that actually helps me kind of tap back into that attitude of gratitude. And so there are times when I'm having this conversation about, like, I'm going through a lot right now. It's like, but in the end, and everyone's like, you're taking it so well. And it's like, because I'm able to remember that undercurrent of joy and the ability to tap into that attitude of gratitude. And that has really kind of kept me going through all of the things that I've had to deal with in January. And all of them were out of my control. There was nothing I could have done differently that would have changed the outcome in any of those scenarios. That would have taken the pressure off of me in any of those scenarios. They were all things that were happening, that I just had to deal with. And sometimes we're living life where we just have to deal with the circumstances. And so that attitude of gratitude really can help you thrive. Now, right this second, I don't know if I feel like I'm thriving at this very moment, right? I may not feel like I'm thriving, but there are snatches of time throughout the day that I think, well, you know what? I'm actually handling this better than a lot of people. And then I feel like I'm thriving. And those moments are kind of where I am able to sit for a second and say, but you know what? I have everything I need, and the universe is conspiring for my good. And all of the love that I'm surrounded with and all the people that I'm surrounded by have been in support of me, even when I've had to cancel events or push things back or not give them the support that I'm used to giving them. everyone has been, let's support you through this. That's a lot. And when other people are saying, you got a lot going on there, it's a lot. It's a lot. But that has really been the case. So if I say all that to say, if you haven't really been able to tap into your attitude of gratitude through whatever it is you're going through, I would strongly suggest that you just take a couple minutes to think about, like Andrea's saying, what have I learned from this experience? And what benefits has this brought me, even though it may feel like pain at the moment? And how am I growing because of this experience? And how am I able to actually tap into that more?
Can I add something to that? Just
I
really
mean,
quick.
both of
Just
us are like, go ahead, Peggy.
I found that for me, because you said take a minute and think about it. I found that for me, writing it down, like take a minute and actually write it down, like actually go through the process of writing down, grab a notebook or your laptop or whatever, and write a list of things that are good in your life. Write a list of things that are going right. Write a list of things that are thankful for, because if I just take a minute to think about it in my head, like all the other thoughts will just like bombard me. But when I literally sit down and start writing, the list gets really big really fast and I get out of that funk really quick. It's like, oh yeah, I had a really good life. Like, are you kidding
Mm-hmm.
me? Like, things are really good.
I
And
I was going to say the exact same thing because no, I because a lot of people, if you're listening and you're like, well, nothing is going right now. Like you're like up here, like anxiety, the like, they're talking about attitude of gratitude. I can't eat, I can't do this, I can't do that. Like Peggy says, take a deep breath and start writing. It is remarkable. This act of writing it down helps de-stress the entire body. And I have had clients where I've said do 3 every morning, like because they're so like wired for stress and they're starting their day so incomplete. And one got back to me and said, I kept writing till I had 10 and then I felt sufficient. And I was like, good for you. I am so proud of you because you went and kept going until you felt better, to Peggy's point. Like, you know, this head and this heart are what we really have that runs everything else. And when they're not aligned, everybody, the whole body goes out of whack,
Yeah.
and so do it, write it, give gratitude for the family, the people that are here with you, your puppy, your fish, all of it. And one line for each thing. And then after a while, you're like, oh, it's looking pretty good. So I'm glad you brought that up, but I want people to understand that it is a way to de-trigger yourself and to like really reset when things seem
Yeah, since we
overwhelming.
have some active co-hosts on the couch, if you have some tips on how to tap into that attitude for gratitude, we would love to actually see your tips. So drop that in the chat and share with us, please, because um, you know, here in the States, we are reliving a anniversary of we've been reliving an anniversary of some trauma for our country. Other countries are starting to have some outward expressions of anger and angst as well. Even the most calm, relaxed countries are
Mhm.
starting to. We're starting to feel that, and I think right now being able to pull some of these opportunities um, to share like how we are all doing with this trauma and how we're able to get through all of it is I'm sorry, I keep doing the sharing the same comment, but it really is helpful. And so if you have any thoughts, even if you're watching this as a replay of like what can we do as individuals to really kind of tap into that attitude of gratitude, we would love for you to share that. So we're going to kind of move along here, and we are going to really get ourselves keep networking. And some of the things that we kind of alluded to when we were talking about staying inspired and being tapping into that attitude of gratitude are really useful in this particular topic. So the question that we have for you guys is, who should you surround yourself with? when you want to thrive. Who is that? And this time we'll go to Andre since you're already in the big box.
I get to keep going first, which is awesome. So I love this question, and I'm glad you added it here because after you've journaled and you have all this gratitude for whatever you list on your list, right? Um, then you actually have your roadmap of things that keep you up. You have your roadmap of the things and or the people and or the actions that motivate you to seek thriving. Now, I like, Monica, you were like, I'm not exactly feeling like I'm thriving right now. And thriving is defined differently for each one of us, right?
Mhm.
So if your version of thriving is you're out there, you get to go hiking and and you've been like sit in the house and you feel so weak and the idea of walking down the block feels like, oh my God, I don't think I can do it.
You
I'm
need
in
to stop talking about me, okay?
no, I'm talking about me. Like all this stillness is one of those things that's robbing us of physical thriving. All right.
Mhm.
And so then make sure find a friend, take a dog, get a puppy. I ended up with a puppy and I'm grateful because you know what, that little shrimp gets me out of the house. I've met all these people and I'm like, oh, I see why people have dogs. I was never a dog person and I'm slowly, and the dog would say, I got you hooked there, lady. But truly, it's a new community. It's a new place for me to show up. And even if we're just talking about our dogs, I'm out of the house, it's sunny, you're out there, right? So that's just like one thing, like find those things that you actually are thankful for. You have a list and do more of those things. That's like the easiest global thing I'm going to say.
So Monica said something, and I had never fully thought about it in this light until 3 minutes ago when you said this. So I'm going to go. I'm going to tie it all into the question, I promise, but I'm going to go off the rails just for a second. You mentioned how, as a nation, the United States is dealing with an anniversary of craziness, and other countries are, kind of showing up with, turmoils and things in other areas than we're used to seeing. And what I thought, and I had never really thought of this in this way before. I've mentioned it in other topics like business and so forth, but we've been headed towards a global society for years. But the pandemic really opened that up because we were all sat right here on our Zoom in front of our thing, and we realized, oh, why can't I do business in South Africa? Why can't I do business in why can't I have a coworker that's in Australia? Like, why not? It's right here. And I feel like we we need to realize that we are surrounding ourselves globally, not just locally, not just in our house, not just in our town, not just in our state, not just in our country, but we are actually able to surround ourselves globally. And we're in a time of change. I really think that's why we're feeling January hitting us hard in the faces because we're stretched, and it's good. Like I've told Monica a few times, I'm like, all right, this rubber band is tight, but we're gonna fly, far. It's okay. We got this. um, but I think we need to surround our really be conscious of who we surround ourselves with and what we're surrounding ourselves with, and realize that we are now surrounding ourselves globally, and don't be ignorant as to who we're surrounding ourselves with.
Yeah.
I think we need to surround ourselves intentionally. Intentionally is my answer.
I love it. Yeah, so as a person who from childhood has always been like, I can do it by myself. I can do it by myself. I got this. I'm a big girl. I can do it by myself, right? From like little, the strive for independence and the strive to be able to do things on my own has been very strong, and is still strong in me to this day. I don't think it'll ever completely go away. But what I have learned through this pandemic and through this experiment that is called this global this global community that we've been practicing for the last 2 years is that we need other people to go further, and we need other people. And even as introverts, shout out to all my introverts who are like less likely, who only need 20 people 20% of the time, and the 80% it's a bit too much. That that need to actually interact with people and to see people in transit and to see people moving and connecting and growing together is something that I think we all took for granted a bit before this pandemic. And now that we are here on the hopefully the other side of whatever this is going to kind of morph into, asking for help has never been more acceptable in our society, has never been more acceptable. You have athletes who are saying, you know what, mentally, I am not okay and I need to get help. You have helplines popping up everywhere because this has been the most okay time for you to say, I don't got this and I need some support. And I think surrounding yourself with people who, one, are willing to come from a place of contribution in that way and actually be of assistance and be of help is one, but also to be the person who's coming from a place of contribution and being able to support others. I think when I thought things were going great for me and I was not in need of people so much, had I not still came from a place of contribution and supporting others, I don't know that I would have gotten the pour of love that I gotten when it was time for me to need that same kind of help. I had people who I had helped turn around and help me, right? I had people who I was the go-to person to be able to answer their questions, turn around, and they do the same thing for me. And so I think when we've been talking about networking, for the last year and a half as we've been on this show for forever. And about it being like, who can you ask for help? It's also, can you be the person that others can ask for help from? And that mutually beneficial relationship of ebb and flow, it's really what's necessary for you to thrive, but also for you to be able to tap into that gratitude in the face of adversity, and to be able to really kind of own your humanness, right? And your ability to kind of get out of it. And there was this phrase that I used to say to people, and I did not realize it was so important until I needed it myself. And I would tell people, you can call me even if it's to yell, if it's to scream, if it's to cry, if it's to laugh, if it's to rant. You can call me anytime for any of those things. All of those things are okay, because I knew for other people that was super important. What I didn't realize is I was going to need that same kind of support from other people. And as we were going through all of the things that we've been going through for the last month, there were some times where I was like, I just need to get this off my chest. And I would go on a full rant of like, I can't believe blah, 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 blah. And then my friends would go, yeah, okay. And then they're like, yep, that's something. And we would move on, but it was so necessary. Or I would be in that moment and Peggy would say something stupid and make me laugh. And then it's like, okay, I'm not in that moment anymore, right? Like, people, surrounding yourself with people who, one, can come from a place of contribution, but also being the person who can come from a place of contribution is what I say will help you thrive when you're networking. So thanks for letting me go off the rails there. We're all taking turns today on going off the rails. So as we move the show along a little bit and we talk about gaining knowledge, this is our lightning round. We'll really just tap into that one major tip on how we can stay in this moment of thriving. So the actual question is, what is your one tip to live healthy, wealthy, and fulfilled? What is your one tip? And I'm going to let Peggy go first this time.
Thank you. I was about to just start talking.
You started first. And she did two in a row.
I was like, don't do this to me. The Thrive strategist in front of me. Mirrors and maps.
Okay, so if you haven't seen the show before, that's funny because that's actually Andrea's one of her tips from before, coming back, out of Peggy's mouth. We recycle solutions. It's called rob and duplicate. That's what we do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Write a list and use that as your map. Be grateful. Just know that
I'm gonna get you all because that's like a bunch of tips for
That's
going to
5
Peggy.
tips.
Facts,
You just need to explain your maps and mirrors, courtesy
ma'am.
of Mr. Vusi Timbuktuale. But go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish. I'm not gonna say like keep a list going. I'm not gonna say all these other things. I'm not gonna
You're
say
not gonna say keep the list going. You're not gonna say also drink some water and make
and
sure
make
that you're
sure you get
staying
sleep.
healthy and get some sleep.
I'm not gonna say any of that. Mm. However, if I were that person, kidding.
And you see who I've surrounded myself with. No. This is my anyway. No, but for sure, maps and mirrors is just like the bomb and the quote. I love what he had said. But thriving when you live healthy, wealthy, and fulfilled, like thriving equals healthy, wealthy, and fulfilled is
Uh-huh.
something that I totally um, vibe with. And so the one tip I'm going to say, the primo tip is you got to choose you and decide to do it.
Mm. All right then.
Mic drop
Mic
right
drop
there.
moment. We're done, guys. That
All
was the end
right,
of the
that was a
show.
great show.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. Because you do have to choose you, and you actually have to choose to thrive. I think, like choosing that, like I'm not going to just survive life. I am not just going to accept whatever decision I have to make because someone's forcing me to make it, but choosing to actually thrive is probably the best way to go. So I don't know if that's a separate tip or if that's just an addendum to yours, but I feel like that was where you were going with that. And then my one thing is we can do anything by ourselves, but we can do everything together. And so I would definitely say ask for help and ask for help as often as you need it. And don't be a robber of someone else's joy in being able to help you thrive. When you thrive, everyone around you is
Okay.
excited and everyone around you gets a little piece of that joy. And so don't rob them of the joy of being able to help you thrive. Well, that's my one tip. Yay! Oh yeah,
Yay!
oh yeah, oh yeah. So guess what time it is? It's Peggy's favorite time for me to sing. Announcements, announcements, announcements. All right, so let's dive into our announcements and we're gonna start with Peggy this time.
Peggy. All right. I have nothing new coming up. However, I am full on in the headshot strategies. I am doing Zoom headshot strategies. I've got headshot sessions going and things are going good. So check out headshotsbypeggy.com and give me a call and let's hang out.
Yes, and Andrea, what's going on?
So, that choosing you, those decisions, that thing like that, if you're struggling with all of that and you're like, I don't know where to start, well, you can tune in and hear me wax and wane about all of that on my YouTube channel. That's one way. Thank you, Monica, for putting that in there. You can also, through that channel, come and figure out a way to talk to me. I'd love to chat with you. I have my Thrive strategy calls. Thank you. Thank you. And last but not least, I am gearing up to, if you're ready to make that change and like really dive deep and dig into that, I'm going to be doing I call it my rejuvenation, my rejuvenators all out there say, hey, and we're going to be launching at the probably end of March. I'm going to take another 8-week group through like how to thrive and like live in your own best self. So that's coming. Stay tuned for the exact date, but I will be inviting you to a Facebook group that explains it all. So stay tuned. So that's coming up, but that's where my head is right now, formulating that for people who want to go into summer in their best selves, feeling healthy, wealthy, and of course fulfilled. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, we have had So January was living a lot of life, but I will say that the Mink Life Motivation community did not let life stop them. We had two major events happen in our community. Both Peggy and Irina had put on some major events for the first time. And I was super excited to see that. And the reason why they were able to do that was because they are a part of a grander plan, a grander community of Mink Life Motivation, where you are talking with real people, giving real help in real time. And we have our courses that they took in order to get them to the point so that they could feel like rock stars. And they have been polished over and over again by participating in the next global virtual conferences. So all of that work, I got to see, all the things that we put together in our community, we got to see in real time on them in real life. And it was so beautiful to see. But the other things that we have going on is we want to invite you to be a part of that community. We want you to understand that you do not have to be an entrepreneur alone. In our community, like we said, real help, like real people offering real help in real time. So come and hang out with us for the Minkubator. We have a 14-day free trial where you can get all those things on your to-do list cleared. You can have some free time to actually do more of what you love and create all the things that you need to do. You can have support with either a trainer or coworkers or work independently. It has been a support group. We have saved each other's computers so that when you're having that issue of, I can't figure this out, and you want to throw your computer across the room, you don't, because you have people to ask and support you through that. The community has been a phenomenal part. And one of the things that our community is pulling together is our Activate Symposium. So some of those real people in our community are actually providing their voices, lending their zone of genius to support you in tapping into your zone of genius. And they're doing that over 24 days with 24 roundtables, 24 courses, 72 lectures. The new dates are starting in February 7th. So that's coming up right around the corner. Next Sunday is our first roundtable. And if you are a speaker, your voice is needed right now. Please help us, help everyone else activate their zone of genius. If you would love to, we would love to have you as a part of our community as a speaker. And that is it for our show. I am so happy that one, I get to spend my time daily with these two lovely ladies, and every week on the show, spending time with you. All thanks to all of our co-hosts on the couch, Rosanna and Raquel and Irina. We love that you chimed in to this conversation. And remember that you have the voice, you have the opportunity to activate the vision within. And now is that time. It's time to thrive. Don't forget, sharing is caring. So please hit that share button. Like, comment, share. I'm going to do a new cheer, create a cheer for that, so you know what to do. We will see you not next week live, because we will have a series of replays, but you will see us all next week as we are having our Activate roundtables on this same channel. So if you love this conversation, guess what? We're bringing those experts to you in your home. If you would like to be a part of our live studio, we would love to have you. Go to minklifeuniverse.com to actually get tickets to be a part of the live audience. And we will see you very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.